Roll call. Mr. Abiscato.
Here.
Ms. Alberti.
Here.
Ms. Alciuri. Mr. Grillo.
Here.
Ms. Jarvis.
Here.
Mr. Schweck. Mr. Bruno.
Here.
Mr. Musto.
Here. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the following means. An annual notice was sent to the Herald and News, the Record, South Bergenite, the Observer, the Township Clerk, and posted in the lobby of the Town Hall and Board Office, setting forthcoming scheduled work meetings and public meetings in the board. I just need to approve the minutes. We have two. Meeting number 12, meeting number 13, and the motion.
So moved. I second.
Mr. Abiscato.
Here.
Four.
Four.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri.
Four.
Mr. Grillo.
Four.
Ms. Jarvis.
Four.
Mr. Schweck. Mr. Bruno.
Four.
Mr. Musto.
Prior to getting into the public hearing on agenda items, from the last meeting, June 24th, we had one vacancy for the Board of Ed, and we fielded 3 calls, 3 people interested in the community, and we've settled on Mr. Scott Weaver. Scott's been a teacher for 26 years, the last 15 of which has been in the East Orange School District. So Scott's been a teacher for 26 years, last 15 of which has been in the East Orange School District. He's got a Bachelor of Arts in History and Social Sciences, a Master's in Administration and Supervision. I think that'll be very helpful here on the board. He's also been an assistant football coach and track coach, as well as a nationally recognized wrestling coach. He's got 3 children in the school district, which is always a good thing. Vested interest here in Lyndhurst, and he's married to his wife Nicole, is also from Lyndhurst. I'd like to have a motion to approve Scott Weaver.
I'll second that.
I'll make the motion to approve Scott Weaver.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
Four.
Ms. Alberti.
Four.
Ms. Alciuri.
Four.
Mr. Grillo.
Four.
Ms. Jarvis.
Four.
Mr. Schweck.
Four.
Mr. Bruno.
Four.
Mr. Musto.
4.
We don't know where we're going to fit him.
Scott, come on up. We're supposed to get back.
Like me to hold the Bible? It would be my pleasure, Mr. Weaver.
I, Scott Weaver, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States
And I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and that I will bear true faith
And that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same,
to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and this state,
and this state,
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God. I, Scott Weaver,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess
that I possess
the qualifications
the qualifications
prescribed by law
prescribed by law
for the office
for the office
of member
of member
of the Board of Education,
of the Board of Education,
and that I will
and that I will
faithfully,
faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly
and justly
perform all the duties
all the duties
of the office
of the office
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my abilities.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Furthermore,
Furthermore,
I affirm and declare
affirm and declare
that I am not disqualified as a voter
that I am not disqualified as a voter
pursuant to
pursuant to RS 19:4-1, period. So help me God. Congratulations.
Dave's going to get the list. Did anybody sign in to speak on the agenda items?
Of course.
I should know. Go ahead.
Page 5, facilities and district plan, number 1. Could you please explain new junior high school state project, the renovations to the high school briefly, you don't have to go through or whatever, and cost factor on all of this?
Junior high school is, I believe, approximately 130,000 square feet, estimated at almost $53 million. It's not a Board of Education project.
But you have it listed here.
We have to get the approval from the Ed Spec. The high school renovation and all the elementary schools, with the exception of Memorial Campus, is $19 million. Actually, it's $19,026,000 to be exact.
And the school closing and land deposition,
That has to be submitted, Lane. That is part of the condemnation that the Board of Commissioners used as declaring Lincoln School in a redevelopment zone. So they condemned it with the caveat that they need to replace Lincoln School with another facility, which is the junior high school.
okay, one question is that I've been hearing from people is that since it was condemned, how are you allowing the kids to go back into the system?
It was condemned for redevelopment only, not condemned for occupancy.
So the parents are under a different idea that it's condemned and that kids shouldn't be allowed in, it's unsafe or whatever, so this is your time to put it on record that it is safe and the kids can attend it, and it's just your redevelopment?
That's exactly what it's for, and I do believe the prior administration, superintendent, put a notice out through the principal and a communication through Mr. Rizzo, the principal, exactly what I just stated. It's not condemned because it's uninhabitable. It's condemned for redevelopment. It's in a redevelopment zone.
Okay, how much you think?
And just to follow up on that, I have responded to people in social media, I'm sure you've seen that. The other thing I wanted to mention of is there was some talk in the community and maybe in the Board of Commissioners that the Board of Education was not any longer on board with this project. We're 110% on board with having a new school built in place of Lincoln School. That school, we really don't want to use that school anymore. It's outdated and it's in a really bad place for a school. But just so everybody's on, the understands where we're coming from, we definitely want that to happen. And that is the only reason why it was condemned.
And who?
Dave specifically, as the BA in this district, has taken great care of that school to make sure that all the students are safe, and the safety and the security of students is our utmost concern.
And who will be in charge of the school? Will be the commissioners?
Charge of
Doing
what school?
the 789 new junior high. It's gonna-
Junior high school is under the auspices of the town, meaning the funding, the building, okay? And we will handle the referendum on this side.
Okay.
But for educational spec purposes, it has to go down as a package. That's why
Okay.
you see the approval the way it is.
So you're putting this new junior high school on referendum, or no? No. You're just doing for ed specs here?
Correct.
Okay, and the school closing with the land deposition and how much maybe the square footage and the land is worth will be under the town?
Yes. And it's disposition of the school.
You still have to get state approved for doing all this?
That's why we're approving the architect to go down, the consultant to go down and do all of the above.
Thank you.
So that was the only one for, yeah, public hearing on agenda items. We'll get right into the board agenda. The finance committee, Mr. Schweik?
Yes, this is going to be broken down into two parts, 1 through 14, and 15 will be separate items. Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of finance may so indicate now, and a separate motion will be made for the accepted actions will be entertained. I make motion that 1 through 14 is adopted.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato. 4. Ms. Alberti. 4. Ms. Alciuri. 4. Mr. Grillo. 4. Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Mr. Schweck.
4.
Mr. Vuno.
4.
Mr. Weaver. 4.
Mr. Abstain.
Mr. Musto.
Okay, next item, item 15, motion made.
Second.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri. 4. Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis. Mr. Vuno.
4.
Mr. Schweck.
4.
Mr. Weaver. Abstain. Mr. Musto.
Facilities and district planning, Mr. Grillo.
Yes, any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of Facilities and District Planning Committee may so indicate now in a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I move that 1 and 2 be adopted.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri.
4.
Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Mr. Schweck. 4. Mr. Vuno.
4.
Mr. Weaver. Mr. Musto.
4. I was actually remiss in introducing Mr. Steve Rogan, our bond counsel. He's just going to give us a real quick overview of a refinance from the finance section of the agenda.
The board went into the bond market to refinance $2,340,000 of bonds, which were issued in 2001 at a rate of 4.73%. The board offered $2,270,000 of bonds, which were offered and sold today at a rate of 1.9%. So it went from 4.73 to 1.9%. This results in savings of slightly over $154,000 over the next 6 years, roughly $26,000 a year. On a present value basis, it's 6.22%. The state has a threshold of 3% required savings in order to do a refund. So things went very, very well today for the board, and I've prepared a resolution for adoption tonight, awarding the bonds. And the transaction will close in a couple of weeks. And any questions?
Thank you for your work on that.
Very well, sir.
Education and Curriculum Committee. South Florida.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of Education and Curriculum Committee may so indicate now in a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I make a motion that 1 to 8 be accepted.
Second.
1 to 11, I apologize.
Mr. Abiscato. 4. Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri.
4.
Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
Four.
Mr. Schweck. Mr. Vuno.
4.
Mr. Weaver.
Abstain.
Mr. Musto.
4. Rules and Regulations Committee, Mr. Aristottle.
Mr. Scuttle, can I excuse myself and interrupt 1 minute? Under rules and regs, you'll notice that there really aren't a lot of permits that are being approved. That's because I had to redesign the permits that we utilize because of an extension of Janet's law that provides that an AED is someone available to operate an AED by any outside organization that uses our facilities. They have to have someone, and they have to sign off that they have someone that's capable of doing this and that they possess or are going to use our AED machines when using our facilities. That's why if you see there's only a few there, we're holding them because I had to revise the permits. We're going to process them now that they're revised. It was a combination of Mr. Bogle and Mr. Delasio and myself doing that. So they're in the process of being printed, they'll be distributed, and going forward, that's what has to be done. The only hiccup in this is going to be internally when someone doesn't qualify. Okay, then it's going to be, it's going to be an operational administrative conversation between myself, assistant superintendent, and the high school principal as well.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of rules and regulations may so indicate now. A separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I make a motion that we accept items 1 and 2.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti.
4.
Ms. Alciuri.
4.
Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Mr. Schweck.
4.
Mr. Vuno.
4.
Mr. Weaver.
Abstain.
Mr. Musto.
4.
Under rules and regulations, you, I believe, received via email a draft copy of a policy for dedications from Mr. Carino. I'm going to pass that out now. This is going to be the first reading on this. Okay, we'll have the second reading in September, and then it will become part of our policy manual. Mr. Carino, if you want to elaborate for the public.
Just very quickly, I think it's important to know and understand that in past years there have been certain honors, dedications, memorials to individuals who have contributed significantly to the school district and the community of Lyndhurst. The dedications of that nature, memorials of that nature, rightfully should be approved by the Board of Education. Hence, in conversations with central office staff, the Rules and Regulations Committee and the Board, we are proposing this particular policy, first reading, which references dedications.
Just do it by title.
And essentially, this policy is entitled Dedications, and it provides a very clear definition that recommendations that come from anywhere in the community must go through the Board of Education to be approved, and very high standards would be established by the committee. And if it's a committee, as an example, that is impacted, like in athletics, then it would go through the athletic committee. So there'd be a screening process where a committee would be established to review this particular recommendation to make sure that it meets the highest standards of the school district. And it would go to the appropriate Board of Education committee for review, and then to the superintendent and for a recommendation, and the board as a whole. This policy is entitled Dedications.
Before we move on to that, I just want to say that Dr. Carino and Mrs. DeMarco worked on this. They're the ones who brought it to our attention that we needed a policy concerning dedicating, whether it be a wing of a building, the name of a school, or a field,
Hallway.
a hallway, etc. And they researched it. They researched it, made inquiries at other school districts to see what they did, and this is a great thing, because we now have a policy, so it's not just happening out of nowhere. That's actually happening through a specific process. So I make a motion that we accept this policy, file code 8117/15, entitled dedications.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri. Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis. Mr. Schweck. Mr. Bruno.
4.
Mr. Weaver. 4. Mr. Musto. 4.
Student Activities and Recognition Committee. Prior to going to that, Mr. Gross, hang on 1 second. I just want to say that we've been reviewing our committees, and we found that there's a plethora of committees. And we're going to try to pare that down to a more manageable amount of committees. Sorry, go ahead.
Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of Student Activities and Recognition Committee may so indicate now, and a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. Hearing none, I move for readings 1 and 2 be accepted.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri. Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Mr. Schweck. Mr. Bruno.
4.
Mr. Weaver. Mr. Musto.
4. Non-agenda items, Mrs. Rowe. Yes.
Superintendent's report is on page 12, 13, and 14. It's quite a lengthy report, and that is the result of a significant amount of work at central office these past 2 months. I won't talk about any one of these particular items, but I think it's important for me to recognize the efforts of the high school principal / assistant superintendent of schools. That would be Mrs. Shauna DeMarco, seated to my left. And of course, the other central office administrator is the board secretary business administrator, Mr. David DePisa. It's been quite an active summer. We've had tremendous cooperation and support from the Board of Education. And there is a delineation, and this is just some of the things that have we've been involved in during the course of the past 6 to 8 weeks. We're very, very anxious to move forward in a very, very positive, collaborative, and productive way in terms of engaging, moving forward in all administrative decisions. We plan to engage those people that are affected by decisions in the decision-making process. So anything that emanates at any particular level of the district that comes to central office, of course, will be reviewed, analyzed, considered in terms of budget, and then before presented to the Board of Education, we want to be absolutely sure that, in fact, any decision or recommendation rather that we make is evidence-based. We have the research that supports recommendations. We plan to be meeting with the various subcommittees of the Board of Education. Communication is critically important. Clarity, timeliness, and effectiveness of communication is something that we'll be striving for each and every day to ensure that anything and everything that is done with the full knowledge and understanding, not only, of course, of the Board of Education, who represents the community, but the community at large. So we're truly looking for kind of a new Lyndhurst public school system with respect to administrative decision-making. The board and I chuckle at this. They are policy makers. Administration are the decision makers with respect to curriculum instruction, assessment, professional development, technology, all of the things that happen in school. And I can assure you we'll do everything to be sure that any and every decision made is focused on this particular element, and that is what is in the best interest of students. This is not about adults, this is about students. It's the adults that need to work together to ensure that if we're going to improve the quality of every aspect of our district, we need to do it in a way that's open, that's honest, that's research-based, and that is just quite intelligent and sensitive to the needs of children first and foremost. And I think this particular report gives you an indication or reflects that mindset moving forward, that vision. Thank you for your time. If there are any questions about any elements of the superintendent's report, Mr. DePisa, Mrs. DeMarco, and/or I would be happy to respond. Thank you, Mr. Musto.
All right, I need a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call. I need a motion to come back in. Roll call.
It's a motion to come back into public session. Mr. Abiscato. 4. Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri. Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Mr. Schweck. 4. Mr. Vuno. 4. Mr. Weaver is,
Mr. Weaver didn't know he was coming here tonight, so he had to go pick up his kids.
Mr. Musto. 4.
Mr. Grillo, would you mind reading
Personnel. Thank you, Mr. President. Any board member who takes exception to any of the following listed actions under the category of personnel may so indicate now in a separate motion for each of the accepted actions will be entertained. We're going to go from 1 to 43 and 45. The three-thing pocket motion is 43, 44, 45. We're just going to leave out 44. Do I need a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti. 4. Ms. Alciuri. 4. Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Mr. Schweck. 4. Mr. Vuno.
4.
Mr. Musto. 4.
Now we need a motion for number 44.
Roll call.
Mr. Abiscato.
4.
Ms. Alberti. Ms. Alciuri.
4.
Mr. Grillo.
4.
Ms. Jarvis.
4.
Mr. Schweck. 4. Mr. Vuno.
4.
Abstain.
I thought you said 40. Oh.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Musto.
4. I'm sorry.
And we just need a motion to adjourn?
All right, 4. Sorry.
What's that?
Mrs. DeMarco and I would like to take a moment. We have about approximately 20 new employees to the district. We've had a very successful summer in bringing in the highest quality educators. We're very, very proud of that. There are 3 that are here that I believe there are 3, and I think it's only appropriate to introduce them. Maria Luque. Maria? Maria will be a language arts teacher at Jefferson School. And Michael White. Michael, you want to come up, please? Congratulations. Michael will be a mathematics teacher at Lincoln School. And of course, we have Laura Vuno. Laura, come on up, please. Laura will be the Lyndhurst High School principal, interim principal. So congratulations. We're delighted to have 3. In the future, when we hire educators and others new to the district, we'll be introducing them, for the general public. So thank you very much, congratulations, and all the best.